Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. I want to talk about grudges today and holding on to grudges. A grudge is a persistent feeling of resentment towards someone, something they did to you, something you didn't like, they said to you, or how they treated you. And you have this smouldering resentment towards them and you hold on to it, and that's called a grudge. That's what I think. And we all have grudges against people. It's just a normal human reaction to how other people treat us or about situations that aren't fair at work. So if you're not given the new job, you might hold a grudge, you might resent it and be angry about it and feel bitter about it. And that's a normal response. It's okay. We're human, we have that. However, it is a negative emotion, and grudges held in the aura are not good for you because they create a darkness and they have a blocking effect. And having a few grudges probably doesn't do that much damage, but if you're a person who holds grudges and won't let it go, eventually your whole aura will be filled up with all these grudges, all this ill will and this smouldering anger and resentment. It's a feeling that the person treated you in a way that they shouldn't have and you deserve better, or they misjudged you. And you can hold grudges from things that you know are true, but you can also hold grudges from things that you perceive to be true when they're not. Perhaps you think that person's ignoring you, but they might just be overwhelmed or distracted, or maybe they're just really shy. Sometimes we can have grudges about things that are unrealistic, that have come from our own damage and triggered by our own experiences. To remove the grudges is good, to let them go. You can do it like a normal way where we do the tapping and the release work and the hypnosis, etc. However, you can also do it by writing them out. You might not realize how much of a grudge you hold towards somebody until you start writing it out. So if you start to write it out, you see it visually, and that will be very good for you because then you can actually know who you hold the grudge to and the situations and why. Grudges are very like resentment. However, they are a bit dissimilar in the sense that you can resent someone and let it go, but you can hold a grudge and almost not. It's almost like you don't acknowledge that you still resent them and you're still angry because the grudge has become the thing you're hanging on to now. You've forgotten about that you're angry and resentful. Other things you can do when you hold a grudge is ignore people and punish them that way, because I think when you hold a grudge, you're wanting to punish them, wanting to get back at them, whether it's aggressively or passive aggressively, is quite strong. And so that changes a little bit who you are. It's pretty hard to be a loving person and still hold grudges to other people. I found in families where they're having separation and they're not getting on, or people who are having these ongoing fights, cold wars I call them, there are a lot of grudges being held. Some of the things are the truth. However, some of the things are just misconceptions or miscommunication between the two parties. They thought this and it wasn't that, and the other people thought this and it wasn't that. So the truth will always work there if you can get people to talk to each other. However, they don't want to talk to each other and they want to fix it up and they just want to hold the grudges. And people will take grudges with them to their death and take it to the grave. And they think it's quite honourable to hold the grudge. However, on an energetic level, it's really bad for you. It's not good for the relationship either, obviously, or the situation, but it's bad for you. You can begrudge lots of things. You can begrudge doing things for people, having to do things for people, going and doing celebrations and things you don't want to do because you haven't been honest about it. You can have them because you didn't get your fair share of the will or the fair share of whatever you thought you were supposed to get. You can have grudges against people because you think they have favourites and you maybe aren't the favourite. It can come into all different areas. It's a very widespread thing, having grudges. You can also begrudge paying for things for people, or I know some parents who begrudge doing things for their children. They have like a resentment because they have to buy stuff for their kids, which is kind of crazy, but people have these thought patterns. I found that when we have a lot of grudges, you can tell by the way we speak and we'll make very many smart aleck comments, and we can be quite sarcastic when we're still holding the grudge. That's how you know you're still holding a grudge, because you have to have your little digs, and we've all done it. And I think that's a really good sign for us when we're holding grudges, that we'll have little digs, and also perhaps ignore or avoid contact with people that we still hold these grudges against. You can do your meditation where you see the grudges too. They'll be like little angry red blobs of darkness as well in your mind and in your body, because they're a thought form. They're not just an emotion. The emotion will be anger and resent and bitterness. It can be small things, but it can be also huge things. Let them go. That's what I'm doing this podcast for. Let all your grudges go. Let them go. And in that process, then you'll be able to forgive them. Everyone does it wrong. Everyone's flawed. Everyone makes mistakes. Sometimes we do it on purpose because we're just being a bit mean. Sometimes we just do it and don't realise we've even done it. Therefore, it's important that if you want to progress spiritually and help your body energetically and your aura, you need to let go of these grudges, because they create disharmony in the aura and they will make you bitter. And the one thing that you don't want to do is get bitter. I read somewhere that in a bad experience, when something bad happens to you, you have two choices. You will either get bitter or you get better. And I think it's better to get better. So try and let go of your grudges. I've done a lot of work on it. I really didn't realise that I had them. I know that sounds really strange, but a friend of mine, he said to me, you need to let go of any grudges you've got against them. And then I started to think about it. It was quite a few years ago, but then I started to think about it in terms of holding a grudge. And yeah, I had quite a lot of them, and it seemed to me for good reason, but it didn't matter. The situation had passed. It was all over and done with. There was nothing I could do. It was like, done. And therefore, holding the grudges was only going to hurt me and only going to make my aura terrible. I think once you start letting go of grudges too, you will have your angry moments and resentment moments, and you'll have a grudge about something for a while. Then you'll recognise it fairly quickly and you'll just let it go. Life's too short anyhow, and we're all going to mess up, so we need to forgive other people and forgive ourselves too. It's a very unspoken